Shalom to my brothers and sisters who are called the bride of the Lamb. And shalom, shalom to the scattered Hebrew Israelites who are throughout the four corners of the earth. For you are called the bride of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah is the most high God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shalom. So where there's a will, there's a way, my brothers and sisters. Come back and do the 7 month properly. Again, forgive me, my brothers, due to me not having the proper equipment, I'm not able to go back and update the calendar as it needs to be. But in this video, we should go over the 7th month, and I should also give you the report for the season totals as well. But first, I want you to see this because some of you who personally know me know that we're going through a storm. And I want you to take a look at the outside, what it looks like here. I hope you can see it. I know this is not the best view right now, but it is windy here in my area and it's rain. So we're dealing with the man has named Florence. Okay. All right. Now, through these storms, we know the Bible called hurricanes whirlwinds. Okay. And this is the most high judgment. Now, some of you for history, and especially look at the different types of slavery we has been through, you will learn that when you study the paths of these hurricanes, you will learn that they do follow the path of the slave trade. That's something you can do in your spare time to learn more about that and see how it relates to the Bible. See, the Bible calls them whirlwind, and that's one of the great works of the Most High Yah. See, judgment is coming upon the earth. But when we read 2nd Ezra chapter 6, I don't want to turn my Bible open to that because many do not realize what season we are in. Let me cut this up. So I want to make sure you hear me clearly. Okay. Many of us do not realize the season we are in. See, judgment is upon this earth, and it has been going on for several years now. See, we will understand how our Father works in time. We will understand that it don't always happen like overnight. It's like a roller coaster ride. It's building up to the climax. See, because see, the Father wants to give you time to repent and to come back unto him. See, it's the reason why he do all these things. But open your Bible to 2nd Ezra, and I believe it's in chapter 6. Let us go to that first. Here it go. Chapter 6. When you get a chance, read the second book of Ezra. Ezra is the high priest in the book of Ezra, and he's also given the gift of prophecy during these end times. So read 2nd Ezra, but read that whole book, and you begin to see what season we are in, which shall confirm Matthew 24, what the Messiah said. For we are in the 7th day of Adam, and we know in this 7th day the Messiah is due to come any time, any day, any week, or any month, or any year. So in 2nd Ezra chapter 6, the summary says, Yahuwah's purpose is eternal. The next world shall follow this immediately. What shall fall out at the last? He has promised more knowledge, and reckoned up the works of the creation, and complaineth that they have no part in the world for whom it was made. Okay, we're not going to read this whole chapter, but I want to start reading. Let me see here. We start at verse 11, and then we shall end at verse 19. Okay? Chapter 6. And I answered and then said, I answered then and said, O Yahuwah, thou bearest rule. I have found favor in thy sight. I beseech thee, shew thy servant the end of thy tokens, whereof thou shewest me part the last night. So he answered and said unto me, stand up upon thy feet, and hear a mighty sounding voice. And it shall be as it were a great motion, but the place where thou standest shall not be moved. And therefore, when it speaketh, be not afraid, for the word is of the end, and the foundation of the earth is understood. Now, that's powerful, my brother and sister. This word said that the word is of the end. Something to meditate, because you know what the title say for this video. The beginning meets the end, for we are in the 7th month of the Most High calendar. And after we go over this 7th month, you begin to understand why the beginning meets the end. But let us continue. Verse 16. And why? Because the speech of these things trembleth and is moved. For it knoweth that the end of these things must be changed. And it happened that when I had heard it, I stood up upon my feet and hearkened, and behold, there was a voice that spake. The sound of it was like the sound of many waters. And it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make acquisition of them what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. Now, 19, you want to meditate on that in your spare time. But the Most High has confirmed unto us through his word that he would draw nigh unto us. See, my brothers and sisters, judgment is here upon the earth. He is doing his works. The birth pains are becoming stronger. The whirlwinds are occurring throughout the world. See, Zion affliction has been fulfilled. If you understand my people history, you would know that our time of affliction is ending. Soon the Father shall deliver the sheep out of the pit. Exodus shall occur again for the 144,000 and the nation of Israel. For a birth of a nation shall come forth in the earth, as prophesied by Isaiah in chapter 66. When you get a chance, check the video description box and listen to Yahuwah's prophetic message. He had a message for the 12 tribes. He has a message for the house of Ephraim, which is known as the lost 10 tribes. He has a message for the bride of the Lamb. Listen to those messages and understand what season you are in. For we are in the 7th month, and this is Eleph and Tall, which is the first and the last, the beginning and the end. It is also confirmed in the heavens. The Hebrew word is tekafar, and we shall go over that more. For that's when the sun is ending and beginning a new one. Okay? So even though we here on the East Coast are experiencing this world where I know my Father got us. See, he made a promise unto us, my brothers and sisters. He said, those who have been faithful and true unto me, and who accept my new covenant, who have this and my salvation in their hearts, who have received that, shall receive eternal life. So do not fear when he bring judgment upon the earth. He will keep his word, my brothers and sisters. So now let's review the 7th month. We have lots to talk about, and I want to do this properly because this month is a special month. This is the month where all things began with the Father. When you study about the flood, it started in this period of time. Also, this is the month when the Messiah was born. The signs are there, the word confirm it. And it's also, there's a record in the heavens that will confirm to you that the 7th is born. See, when you do your research, you'll find it. Also, in the playlist of the holy days and holy feast days, you will find videos that talks about the birth of Messiah, and that will give you the proof to confirm unto you this is the month that he came into the earthly realm. Okay, so let me start from the top of this calendar. Now we are in season 3, or we're about to approach season 3 when the sun entered the seventh sign of Mazzaroth. Now the Gentile calls this fall, but in the Bible, you will not see the word fall, you will see the word winter, and we'll talk more about that when we read that biblical verse. And when you look it up in the Strong Concordance, there'll be two names for it, autumn and winter. Sorry, autumn and winter. And I cannot pronounce that Hebrew word. Again, I do not have the proper devices that would do it for me. But the Hebrew word for that is CHOREPH, and the reference number is H2779. Okay? So we are in season. The Gentiles call it fall, but the Bible in the English tongue call it winter. But in the Hebrew tongue, we call it, let me go back to that word right there. Now we are still in the season of harvest. This is the third harvest, and you will see why this is the final harvest for the Most High year. Okay. And the upcoming major celebration we have is tabernacles, known as Sukkot. Now, remember what I tell you, my brothers and sisters. The carnal go in hand with the spiritual. These carnal things are to teach us what was, what is, and what yet to come, and give us deep understanding about these heavenly things, these mysteries that many do not understand. But we'll talk more about that in this video. Okay. Now, the count to Shemitah soon, we'll be into the third year. And so we're counting for to Shemitah and to Jubilee. Now Shemitah occur every 7 years and Jubilee occur every 50 years. Okay. So the last Jubilee was in the year of 2015 to 2016, and one of the greatest signs in the heavens to confirm unto us was those blood moons. So there was a blood moon in the Shemitah in the year of 2014 to 2015, and there was a blood moon in the year of Jubilee, which was 2015 to 2016. Okay. So because how the Most High calendar work, remember, it's the opposite of the heathen's calendar. It's the opposite of Satan's calendar. This is what Daniel was talking about when you read Daniel chapter 7, how that wicked one would change times and laws, okay? So when you study the Most High calendar, you will find that his calendar will overlap in the heathen days, such as our day begin from sundown to sundown, where the heathen days begin from midnight to midnight. Do you see the correlation here? Do you see 22? The Most High calendar day ends in light and beginning in light, but the heathen's calendar, known as Satan calendar, begins with darkness and ends with darkness. Something to really think about. So this is why our calendar year will begin in 2018 and end in 2019 AD in the heathen's calendar. Okay. Now let's go to the next slide. All right, so we already talked about the Shemitah. I'm just going through slowly, and forgive me. I just want to make sure we cover everything. And you will have access to this calendar. Just go to the Google Documents, and you can review this calendar in your spare time, and you can even print it off. But forgive me, again, there was something more about this in this video. Now, according to Enoch, which is the Most High prophets, okay, I want to give you what cycle we are in dealing with the 19, there are 7 folds that the moon does in 19 years. That cycle. We were in the 8th cycle and the 6th fold of the 7th fold in 19 years dealing with the moon circuit, and that occurred in 2015 and 2016, and soon at the end of this year, based on numbers, we will be in the 3rd cycle and 7th fold of the 7th fold in the 19 years for the moon. Okay, now let's talk about these biblical verses. When you get a chance, my brothers and sisters, I want you to read Genesis chapter 8, verse 22, Exodus chapter 34, verse 21, and Ben Sirach, which is known as the Ecclesiasticus, chapter 33, verse 7. Now, reason why I'm telling you to read these verses, because it shall give you more understanding about the Most High calendar. Because what our Father done in heaven, He want us to do in earth. For we are made in His image, Adam. And Adam do means male and female, for we are named after our forefather, Adam. And that's how they say in the English tongue. But in Hebrew, we say Adam. Read Genesis chapter 5. So when you read Genesis chapter 8, verse 22, you will learn that this is the area where you'll learn about the seasons, okay? This is how you can find it. It is worded differently from what we are taught by the heathens today. For it reads this: while the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. Okay, so the season we are in now, my brothers and sisters, the heat is ending, known as chon. Okay, we are still in summer, and we are still in a time of harvest. Okay, when you look at Exodus chapter 34, again, it will show you how we imitate our Father. Again, we are made in His image, so we think like Him, walk like Him, talk like Him, and do as Him. Just as He rested from His work, the same is for Adam, for He made Adam to plow the earth. Read Genesis chapter 2. So just as He worked the earth, He set a day of rest for Him. And the formula for that can be found in Ezekiel chapter 46. Okay? And you'll see that in this count. Now, we look at Ben Sarah. When you read that, you will learn that the days of the sun and the days of the moon must fall on the correct Sabbath day. Okay? I'm coming back to that last part. So in that spare time, read that verse as well. Now, when you study the heathens calendar, you will learn they made a great error. It started in Italy, Rome, which makes sense. Rome is the fourth beast that we're in. That's the kingdom we're in. And our brother Esau is the ruling nation at this time. Second Ezra chapter 6, verse 8 through 9, we confirm this. For Esau is in the world and in the world to follow it. Okay. But you will learn that the heathens made a great mistake. What happened was, I think it was in the 1940s, that they realized they was 10 days behind the sun's circuit. So when they was trying to make the correction, and for them, their weekly format is based on a continuous 7-day cycle. So when they made a correction, they didn't start on the correct day of the week. For them, they started on Friday instead of they should. And this is why, my brothers and sisters, listen to what I'm telling you, Israelites and Gentiles. You would never have the correct Sabbath day by following the heathens' calendar. They made a great error, a great math error, a simple error. And nor did they follow the word. Remember, you are in the fourth beast kingdom. This kingdom job is to do the same thing what Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes did. Greek king. They are anti-word, anti-covenant, anti-Torah. They are against the Most High word. So they're going to teach you the things to deter you from doing as the Father did. Right? So this is why He left the word for you. This is why He had King James to write that 1611 Bible for you. This is why He wants you to read that Apocrypha, because He wants you to start walking in His ways. He wants you to receive His understanding, His wisdom, and His knowledge. So the heavens determine when the Sabbath is. When you study the Gregorian calendar and all the ancient Roman calendars, okay, of the fourth beast kingdom, you will learn that they never followed the heavens correctly. They are under the principality of Satan. When you read 4, Ben Sirach chapter 17, verse 17, and look at those precepts, and also the book of Jubilees will confirm this. That was the book written by Moses. You will learn that the other nation was given into the hands of the other angels to rule over them. But Israel was the most high inheritance. He was our ruler and our king. So He gave us His knowledge, His wisdom, His understanding, and His ways to follow. This is why when you study His calendar, it will be in the complete opposite of the heathen's calendar today, known as the Gregorian calendar. Okay, so take that time to review. Now let's look at the 7th month. The 7th month fell in this year. Let me make sure I look at the right thing. Okay, let me review this. In the year 2015 to 2016, we added 13th month. There were several brothers and sisters, Israelites and Gentiles, who did not keep the 13th month. So this is why I'm bearing record, because it would show you that they would be in the 8th month. And again, it would show that they're out of season, not in season with the heavens. Remember Genesis 1:14. These lights, the sun, the moon, and Mazzaroth, would tell us what season we were in. They would give us the days, the years, and etc. Okay? So this is why it's so important to keep a record and write this down, and you can see how the Most High heavens work along with it. So for the 12-month fathers who do not keep the 13th month in the year of 2015 to 2016, they are in their 8th month, so they are out of season. Okay? Now, my brother Hashur, I have a video listed on my channel. It's in his 6th month, and you'll see why we're not following the same thing at this time. He added his 13th month in the year of 2017 to 2018. But for me, I'm following based on what Enoch say with the 3, 5, and 8, and based on what records I have so far. All right, now with the 7th month, it's in the Bible, it's called Attn, 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 2. And another word for this, because dealing with the Babylonian tongue, they call it Tishri. And this year, the 7th month fell in the month of October of the heathen's calendar. Now, we'll talk more about the sun entering the 7th sign, but let's keep going. Based on the heavens, the Shabbat, known as the Sabbath, will fall on Monday to Tuesday in the 7th month of the Most High calendar, okay, based on the heavens. Now, here's the juicy part I want to get to. Now, in your spare time, I list a lot of scriptures for you to read about so you'll be aware of what to do on the new moon day. But it's some deeper things I want to discuss with you in this video that pertains to the 7th month. A lot of us don't realize how it taught to us in Numbers. There was hidden clues, even in Torah, to give us understanding what is yet to come. So in your spare time, when you look at the number 7, I want you to read Joshua chapter 6, the work of Josephus in the book of Antiquities 3.12.6, Leviticus chapter 16, verse 14, and 2 Ezra chapter 7, verse 30 to 31. For we know the Most High number 7 is a sanctified number. It is a holding number unto him. Another thing I do want you to look at, because the holy days and holy feast days videos will give you the deeper understanding about Torah. Remember, Torah represented the spiritual things. It was teaching, well, my people didn't understand this, but Torah was teaching us deep spiritual things that the Father wanted us to know. So again, read Leviticus chapter 16, that pertains to the scapegoat and the sin offering. Read chapter 17, chapter 23, Deuteronomy chapter 16, Isaiah chapter 53, because it's very deep of what the Messiah do. Again, the Torah was foreshadowing what the Messiah did do, what he shall do. Great things, all right? Now let's talk about this word Succoth, known as tabernacle. When you look this word up, it means house, booth, tents, or dwelling place. Now, when you meditate on this word, and I do need hold on, let me put it in here. There we go. When you dwell on this word, what do you think about house? What's some things that come to mind? Shelter, protection against the elements, right? Also, a house is like comfort, peace, a place of rest. Do you see where I'm going with this? See how the carnal things help you, give you more understanding of what the Father's trying to teach you about the spiritual and what yet to come? For example, when you read Isaiah chapter 14 and Isaiah chapter 4, what did the Most High say unto the nation of Israel that will occur unto them in this future time, okay? That he made a promise to them, that he would give them rest, from their sorrows, from their pains, from their afflictions, these things that the Negroes are going through. And the Negroes are the children of Israel. When you study our history, that was a byword that the European to my people, a byword and a proverb. That's how they label us now. But the Father promised unto the Negroes, who are the Israelites, that he will bring them back as a nation, and the two sticks shall become one, as the prophet Ezekiel talked about in chapter 37. Also read Hebrews chapter 8 and Jeremiah chapter 31. He made that promise unto you. So, Israelites, do not forget my Father promise. He's coming for you, as he said. Also read Isaiah chapter 11, you will see. And 2nd Ezra chapter 13. He's going to open those waters up again, and he's going to bring you back home. But first, before you enter the Holy Land, he's going to purge out the rebels. He's not going to play with you, Israelites. And he's going to give you a new heart and a new spirit. He's coming. But first, our Father in heaven, get his honor and his glory. Then Israel, Israelites, then the world shall know whom you are. Read Ezekiel chapter 38 and chapter 39. Okay, so let's get back on task. Now, as for the 144,000 and for the bride of Messiah, you too shall enter into his tabernacle. Okay, so I want you to read chapter 33, verse 17. Okay, because I believe it was either Isaac or Jacob, I can't remember which one. They also built a booth, tent, a tabernacle for themselves and also for their cattle. Okay. Also read Psalms chapter 27, for that's a future prophecy that shall occur, and Zechariah chapter 14, because it's coming, my brothers and sisters. See, these heathens do not want us to keep the holy days. They say we don't have to, but they have not read the prophet's writing. They have not have read that old covenant known as the Old Testament. For especially if you read Zechariah chapter 14, you realize that all nations in the earth shall keep the Feast of Tabernacles. And see what happened when they don't. See, nothing's put away with. It's just that most churches have been indoctrinated with the fourth beast, known as the Roman Catholic doctrines. They've been teaching the people wrong. But that's according to biblical prophecy. They're doing what they're supposed to do. But now the time has come. The appointed time has come. Well, the Father is opening our eyes for those who want to receive the truth and those who want to keep his commandments. And through the new covenant, you will learn how to keep his holy days and holy feast days. For the Messiah said we shall worship in spirit and in truth. John chapter 4. Something to really think about. And he will teach you, the comforter will teach you how to keep these days. 1 John chapter 2, verse 27. A mystery that many do not understand. But let us keep going. All right. Now here's the part I want to get to. Exodus chapter 34, verse 22. Let's read that together, my brothers and sisters. For the words say, and thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of the wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end. Now we just kept Pentecost, known as the feast of weeks of the first fruits of the wheat harvest. We kept that in the fourth month. Again, go to the channel and find out why it's in the fourth month and not in the third month. Again, many are not following Torah. Many are not reading what the prophets wrote. Okay. Even the Messiah said, he confirmed unto us that the harvest occurred in the fourth month. It's in the writings. Go back. But look at that last part of that scripture. It said the feast of ingathering at the year end. What is that feast of ingathering at the year's end? What did that mean? It's talking about that last gathering of all the crops that occur at the year's end. But what year's end? It's not talking about the moon. It's talking about the sun. Remember when the Father told unto Moses that our year should start in the Aviv now. So the question you need to ask, when did the year start before he made that change in the book of Exodus? It started in the 7th month. Go back. Go back, my brothers and sisters. When you read the prophets' writings, such as Enoch, Jubilees, and the other sacred books, you begin to have greater understanding about these things. Now let's look at the strong concordance and look at these definitions. So when you look at ingathering, and I cannot say these Hebrew words, but I will give you the reference number so you can look it up. And let me hold my phone steady so you can see it. When you look at that first line, I'm going to put my finger at. If I can get my finger over here. There we go. Right by the A word. And that reference number is H614. And that means in gathering the harvest. So they are to gather all their crops because what they had to prepare for. Think about it. The season of cold, winter, ice, frost. So they have to prepare, okay? Now, we're going to look at the next word, which means year. The Hebrew word for year is the Hebrew reference for year is H8141. And that means a revolution of time. So what is pertaining to? The sun, okay? And the next word we're going to look at is in. What did that word mean in Hebrew? And that reference number is H8622. Now I can pronounce that word. It's tekafar, and that means a revolution of the. Do you see why it's so important to go back to the original language to study? It gives you deeper understanding. It helps you to learn and get understanding about Genesis chapter 1 and how the heaven and earth works together. How the carnal go in hand with the spiritual. Okay? And when you read Psalms chapter 19, verse 6, it gives you some more information about the sun. For the sun is known as a he. And when you also read the Apocrypha, the word we teach you that the moon is known as a she. But anyway, when you see the equal sign of the Feast of Tabernacles Sukkot, what that basis mean is when you read Exodus chapter 34, verse 22, it means that the Feast of Ingathering is pertaining to the Feast of Tabernacles. Remember what the Father said in Exodus chapter 4, verse 21? He said that 6 days thou shalt work, but in the 7th day thou shalt rest. In earning time and in the harvest thou shalt rest. So even in our harvesting time, the Most High has set appointed times for us to rest, to celebrate, to enjoy the fruits of our labor. This is why when you read Ezekiel chapter 46, this is why we enter into different gates for certain appointed holy days and holy feast days. Something to really meditate. So, when you think about the Feast of Tabernacles, what is the word saying to us? When the day comes, when the Father bring great plagues upon the earth, and his great judgment, especially on that harlot, that whore that sits upon the beast, that one that has done great horrible to people, when he bring that great day, that day of restraint, he had prepared a special place for his faithful servants. He had prepared a place for you, bride and Messiah. There's a place in the heavens and a place in the earth, a mystery that many do not understand. Just as the Messiah told that one on the cross beside him, he said, "Thou shalt see me in paradise." Again, go back and study these holy feast days, such as Passover, Pentecost, Feast of Tabernacles. Understand what the Messiah did in Sheol. Understand what he did for Adam and for the Israelites. Our Father has prepared a place for us for that great day, the day of restraint. Israelites and Gentiles. There's a place in the heavens and there's a place in the earth. Again, good read. You have to go in the whole volume of the book to understand what the Father is telling unto us. It's there. But only those who are willing to hear and only those who are willing to see will see it and will understand it. Okay. So we are aware that Israel and other countries, including the East, has seen the new moon, and it was seen on the heathens' day, known as September the 10th at sundown. And September sundown fell on their heathen day, known as Monday. Okay, take this time to pause your screen. And on this great day, we have the Feast of Trumpets. Okay. And we have a fast known as a cheerful feast. For on this day, one of my ancestors was killed. Learn the mystery on how to keep this fast known as a cheerful feast. Read Isaiah chapter 58 when you have some time. Now, in some parts of America, some of us did not see the new moon because it was cloudy. But all praise to the Most High, there were other parts in America that was clear where they did see it. Okay, so this month, the East and the West are on the same accord. All right, now we're going to look at the second week of the moon. And I do want you to see this part. Go to the next paper. This is just to remind you, this is the birth month of the Messiah. And this month, to me, I label this as the beginning meets the end. It left tall, and you'll see why as we go on. And what you see before you is the Picto Hebrew. Okay, put my finger on it. Okay, that's the Picto Hebrew. You have a ox head and a cross. Now, the heathens will profane a cross. The heathens will wear the cross, but we don't wear the cross, but we understand what it means. When you look at the Hebrew definition of cross, it means covenant mark. Be careful whom you allow to make that symbol on you. For once you do that, you go in covenant with them. You go in marriage with them. You are joining them. When you read a book of Nicodemus, known as the book of Pontius Pilate, you begin to understand what the cross truly means. And why we don't wear it. Because only the Holy One can make it upon you. Do not follow behind the Roman Catholics, for they are in darkness. They are that fourth beast. But below it is known as Paleo Hebrew. Again, you will see the cross either as a letter T or as an X. And the ox head is displayed as this symbol right here. It looked like a, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of that word, but it's dealing with geometry. But take this time to pause the screen to look at that. Okay? Now, I do wear the menorah because it represents two things. Revelation chapter 1 and chapter 2. And Zechariah chapter 4, chapter 11 of Zechariah. And it gives you understanding what was written in Revelations chapter 11 with the two counts. Okay? For the menorah represents the bride of the Lamb. It also represents the house of Judah, known as the kingdom of Judah. And it represents the house of Ephraim, known as the house of Joseph, or the kingdom of Joseph. Okay? Now let's look at the second week of the moon. In the second week of the moon, we have a supermoon. Well, that basically means that the moon appeared bigger, and I saw it. It was the biggest crescent I ever seen. It was so beautiful, my brothers and sisters. I looked in the west after that, and it was so beautiful. And it fell on day 2 of the moon. As far as the day of the sun, it was the 6th month of the sun and the 20th day. But on the heathen's day, it fell on September the 11th, ended on September the 12th. Okay? Now, when we look at this phase of the moon, this moon is known as the half moon, and it's increasing in light, and it's at 50%. On the heathen's day, it fell on September 13th at 2:14. Make it just closer. at 2:14 a.m. Now this is in Israel daylight saving time. Okay. As for the day of the sun, it fell on the 6th month and 25th day, and on the heathen's day, September the 16th to September the 17th. Remember, the Most High day occurred from sundown to sundown, and it occurred on day 7 of the moon. So that is the first week of the moon. Now let's look at the second week of the moon. Oh, and I need to mention what day we are in now. So let me see what day. Today is Friday, and it is, let me see what day. See what day we are in. Okay, we are in September the 14th, and it's daylight. Okay, so daylight will fall. So we're in day 4 of the moon. Okay, because we still in daylight. So on the heathen's day, our day begins on September the 13th to September the 14th, Thursday to Friday. So we on day 4 of the moon. Okay, now let's look at the 4th week of the moon. Okay, on day 10 of the moon, we have atonement. Okay, now that is a day of rest known as a holy convocation day. Review those scriptures: Leviticus 23, Numbers 28 to 29, and Deuteronomy 18. And it falls on day 10 of the moon. And this year, it fell on the sun's 6th month and 28th day. And on the heathen day, it fell on September 19th to September 20th, from sundown to sundown. Now, I think I did a notation correction because I was trying to understand when I restart dealing with atonement. So through studying the word, I'm going to just draw it out. When it said from evening to evening, what it's talking about is, I'm drawing it out for you right quick. Just bear with me. When it's saying from evening to evening, from the 9th day to the 10th day, it's actually talking about when the sun goes down, okay? Because when the sun starts going down, that's between 2 days. So from evening to evening, from the day to the 10th day, it's talking about from sundown to sundown. So that was one of those scriptures that I had to meditate and go to the Father. Okay, Father, what this really means, because I want to follow your commandment on how to keep this day of rest, this holy day. Okay, so that's what it's talking about. When you see the 9th day mentioned in the scriptures, it's really talking about from sundown to sundown. Okay, now let's go back to the second week of the moon. In the second week of the moon, we have the sun enter into his 7th sign, and it falls on the 13th day of the moon. And on this day, this is when light is equal to night. So be about 12 hours daylight and 12 hours night. Now, when you actually record that timing, sometimes it may be a few minutes more. In other words, you might have a little more daylight and a little less night when they're not totally equal. And the reason is that the earth is no longer in alignment with the heavens. Then the Most High do talk about this. It's in his prophetic messages. Please listen to that, my brothers. It's also written in PDF form. Please print them out. For this is how the earth and the heavens is manifesting themselves unto us, especially to you Israelites, for they're letting you know you're not in your proper place. As written, the ones in the Holy Land who claim to be us are not us. See, the Father want to make you jealous, Israelites. Again, chapter 32, chapter 10. It's there. The evidence is there, my brothers and sisters. So on day 13 of the moon, the sun entered the 7th sign of Mazzaroth. The Gentiles call it Libra, okay? And they represent it with a scale. And we know a scale represents both, because the Most High is going to bring order back. And things in all of his creations, Adam will follow his commandments. His son is going to enforce it upon the earth. This is why the word say he will have an iron rod. Those who will not submit unto him will be cut off. Okay. So, and that on the heathen the seventh sign. Shalom, shalom, everyone. Shalom. So the sun entering the seventh sign of Mazzaroth falls on September the 22nd to September the 23rd. And that's because of the timing that the sun does that. Let me look at the timing of it. The timing that it falls on is at 4 p.m. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. It falls at 4:54 a.m. in Israel Daylight Saving Time. So this is why it falls on September the 22nd to September the 23rd. Okay, I'm going to take this time now to pause your screen. So the first day of what the Gentile call fall will start on the 14th day of the moon. And this is the sun first day of his seventh month. Let me repeat this. The seventh month of the sun starts on day 14 of the moon, and it's the sun first day. Isn't it amazing how it's right before the Feast of Tabernacle at the year's end? Now, the Feast of Tabernacle always starts on a full moon day, and this time the moon did appear at her appointed time. So on day 15 is a full moon. On the Satan's calendar, it falls on September 25th at 5:52 a.m. in Israel Daylight Saving Time, okay? And this is the day of the Feast of Tabernacle. It is a holy convocation day and a day of rest unto us, okay? And it's the sun's second day of his seventh month. And on the Romans calendar, it falls on September the 24th to September the 25th, from sundown to sundown. Now, this is an 8-day feast. It starts on the 15th day of the moon, and it ends on the 22nd day of the moon. And we'll talk about this. I just want to make sure I cover all the other days before I start talk about the 22nd day of the moon. Now, in the third week of the moon, you see here, I write it out so you can see the numbers. And I highly recommend that you read Numbers chapter 29, as well as Leviticus chapter 23 and Deuteronomy chapter 16. Okay? But on day 22nd of the moon, the great day is known as the Day of Restraint. Also, this day is also mentioned by the Messiah. He keeps these holy days too. And in time, review the book of Joel. For the video playlist, give a great breakdown on what the Day of Restraint means. Okay, with the calendar, you can go to the video description box, my brothers and sisters, and click on that link. It's a Google document link, and you will have access to the calendar, and it's free. Now, forgive me, I do need to still do some more work on that calendar, but at least you have the days and the dates to know when these holy dates start. Okay. Now, on day 22nd day of the moon, it is a holy convocation day. It's a day of rest unto us, my brothers and sisters. And I do need to mention this so you'll be aware, so you won't panic. Remember, we're in the fourth beast kingdom. They're going to do everything possible to keep us from not, keeping these holy days that he's committed. This is why the Father made the new covenant through his Son. See, when we can't keep it perfectly, because of he who dwells in us, who is the salvation, the righteousness of Yahuwah, we are still as he was set before us, my people. This is why the Messiah said we shall worship the Father now through spirit and truth. So he said, keep these things in your heart. Bible. Prepare your food before the day before and take your Bible to work. Share the good news with the Israelite Gentiles, your family, your friends, the strangers. Share this news and tell them understanding what the Feast of Tabernacle is about. It is that place of safety, that place known as the pavilion, that place that we shall go when that great day comes, when the Father bring the greatest plagues upon the earth, when he takes care of that harlot on the beast, when he takes care of that fourth beast. Because none of us want to be here when it happens. Just as it was done in the days of Noah, it shall be done again here. Okay, he said in his word, he's not going to destroy the world by water anymore. It's going to come by fire. And what that fire remind you of? That word. That Holy One. Because when he opened his mouth, they're going to instantly burn. Something. But anyway, let me get back on track because I can talk and talk and talk. But on that day of restraint, my brothers and sisters, you want to be prepared. You want to enter into the Father's tabernacle, that place of pavilion that he prepared for you, whether it's in the heaven or in the earth. You don't want to be left out. You don't want to have to face that wicked one. There's going to be great terror upon the earth. You don't want to be here when the Father releases those great plagues upon the earth. Make it right with our Father. Come back unto him. Keep his commandments. For his commandments is higher than man. He said, do not fear man. Fear the one that can destroy the body and the soul. Think about it. Just like now, we are in the midst of this storm, but I know my Father got me. Whether I live or whether I die, he got me. I know his promises. I know him because of things I experienced with him. I can go on about the things he done for me, my brothers and sisters, but this video will be too long. But what I want to tell you is that I know him. I have a relationship with him. I'm married unto him. That's what this covenant is about. I'm married unto them. And we got to follow his ways. We have to keep his commandments, his judgments, his statutes, his laws, for they are higher than man. This is why he is called the Most High. He is above man. And his wisdom and knowledge is so higher than man. Okay? Now let us keep going. I'm sorry, I got talking on. Now in the fourth week of the moon, now this is the part I didn't get a chance to fill out, so I'm going to take my time and go slow where you can pause your screen and get those numbers. Okay? But I forgot to mention that the month of October will start on day 21. I need to write that down so when I update the calendar, you will have it. So October will start on the day 21 of the moon. Okay? So in the fourth week of the moon, I'm going to move slow so you can get these numbers. We have the last waning crescent. And the last waning crescent fall on day 28. And that's the sun's 7th month and 15th day. And on Satan calendar, it falls on October the 7th and ends on October the 8th. And then the moon will go to her phase where she have no light. For the prophet Enoch says in his book that when the moon has no light, this is the end of the month of the Most High calendar. And that falls on day 29. And it happens on Satan calendar on October the 9th at 6:46 a.m. Okay? And that would fall on, let me bring this back, on the sun's 7th month and 16th day. And on the heathen's calendar, it falls on October the 8th to October the 9th. Okay? Now, we already talked about Mazzaroth, but I do want you to see this so you can pause your screen. The seventh sign of Mazzaroth, the Gentile call it Libra, is located in the 180 degrees in the heavens. Again, it occurs on September the 23rd at 4:54 a.m. Israel Daylight Saving Time. In the eastern part of America, it will occur on the 22nd of September at 9:54 p.m. Okay? On the eastern part of America, we are 7 hours behind Israel. Now, I do need to give you the numbers to close out the sixth moon. So we're going to go over that. But before I talk about these scriptures, on the Google document, you have access to these scriptures so you can be familiar about how to keep the fast. Okay. It's in Isaiah chapter 58. I don't know why that number's left off. Let me make a correction. Okay. For in Zechariah chapter 8, verse 19, it says this: Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, the fast of the fourth month, and the fast of the fifth, and the fast of the seventh, and the fast of the 10th shall be to the house of Judah joy and gladness and cheerful feasts. Therefore, love the truth and peace. That's so deep. Okay. And these fasts do relate to biblical events that occur. And again, you can go to the Google document and get that information with those scriptures, as well as the work of Josephus. But we're going to look at the 7th month, okay? In the 7th month, we have the death of Jedaliah. He is the son of Ahikam, who is the son of Shaphan. And Jedaliah was made governor of Judah by the king of Babylon. So in your extra studies, I want you to read 2 Kings chapter 25, verse 22, verse 226, and Jeremiah chapter 40 and chapter 41, verse 1 to 10, and the work of Josephus 10.9.1 through 7, and you can find it on page 276 to 277. Now, his death did occur on the Feast of Trumpets, and it can be confirmed by the work of Josephus for what I got so far. Okay. So, the last but not least, I'm going to have to let you know, this I may have to do in another video, but I'm going to give you what I have, because in each quarter, we have to look at the totals for the moon and for the sun. I'm going to try to hold this up where you can see this sun. This is like dealing with my year-end totals. And it's very important that we look at these numbers, okay? And I realized I had some math errors. So to make this video short, I'm not going to give you the actual time because I need to go back and make sure I do that calculation correct for the first quarter and for the second quarter. And what I mean by that is dealing with the first to the third month, and then the fourth to the sixth month, and then I add everything together. But for the sixth, here we go. Sorry about that. For the 6th month, we have for the moon, it was 29 days. It was 29 days for Israel and 29 days. So what we got over here, I'm not sure for Brother Hashur because I got to look up some things for him. But that's what we got. And for the sun in the 6th month, I got 31 days. Okay. Then we look at the quarter. Okay. For the moon, we had 88 days total from the 4th month to the 6th month. But when we look at the mid-year of it, we have a total of 176 days. Okay. For the sun, for its quarter, we had a total of 94 days. And then for the mid-year of the sun circuit, we have a total of 186 days. All right. Now, the reason why you might see the numbers slightly different from what Enoch tells us, for some reason, the Father gives us more days during the time of summer. And I say summer, I'm talking about from the spring to the end of summer, those first 6 months, which make more sense because we're dealing with farming and gathering the crops. With those who keep a record, you would find that in the winter season, and the winter season I'm talking about is dealing from fall to winter, we have fewer days. And that makes sense because after we go through the 3 harvests, which is Passover, Pentecost, and Feast of Tabernacles, we have to prepare for winter, and that's when we rest, okay, and enjoying the fruits of our labor, which makes sense, okay? So this is part of why you see a variation from what Enoch tell us. Is not say that time was never like that as Enoch say, because there's evidence of that. But now we're in the latter days, and when you read Enoch's writings, you begin to understand why these things have changed, and also when you read the word too. Okay, it pertains to sin. Since Adam has fell, things have been out of order, and also since the nation of Israel is not in their proper place, things have been out of order as well. So I don't want to bore you with a lot of unnecessary numbers and details, but that's just to give you an idea where we at for this mid-year and for the second quarter. Now I do keep a record of, like, we have eclipses. So in this second quarter we had one blood moon, okay, we had two supermoons to occur and one micromoon. Remember, supermoon means that the moon was larger and it appeared larger in the heavens, and micromoon means that the moon appears smaller in the heavens. Okay, so enough of that. But I will do another video so we can get a better update. And I ask you to forgive me for those math errors, because I really try to go back and try to make sure I did my calculation correctly. But we are Adam and we do make mistakes. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to tell you. Again, check the video description. Just out and share them with your brothers and sisters. I hope that this video was helpful for you dealing with the 7th month, because when we reflect on the title says Hurricane Florence and 7th new moon, beginning meets the end, left tall. For now we understand why the beginning meets the end. For our Father, see, all things start with him, and all things shall end with him. And just as his son imitate him, because he was there when all things began, and he shall be there when all things end. And he will carry out his father judgments in the earth. And once he do that, he shall prepare the way for the Father to come. And when the Father come, he shall bring the Father judgment. Now we can see why they are called left and tall. Now we can see why this 7th month of when the Messiah was born is the beginning and end. Just as it's confirmed and displayed in the heaven, where the beginning meets the end, with the sun's circuit, known as Tetrafar, we can now see how the carnal go hand with the spiritual. We can now see why these holy days and holy feast days represents what is, what was, and what is to come. Now we can see the relationship with the carnal and the spiritual. I hope you see what I see, my brothers and sisters. I hope you understand what I understand. For these things are spirit and not by the flesh. So continue to preach the gospel that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Make sure the people receive the word. Sorry, I need to apologize. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10, and baptize them in the name of Yahushua HaMashyach. For the Lamb set the example of the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism, and the apostles continued them both. And we must follow the same example. For just as we have a witness in the heaven, we have a witness in the earth, and they go hand in hand. 1 John chapter 5. I love you all, and shalom. And do you know who that peace that's in you? Read Matthew chapter 28, verse 20. For the word said that he shall never leave us. He's always with us. This is why we have peace in our heart. And read Matthew chapter 10. Wherever home you go in, build a shalom. Why? And if your peace return back unto you, do as the word say. Shalom.